So, okay, let's get moving. So when I talk about commission, this work comes from Module 12 of the Agent Success Program. If you don't know what that is, that's exactly how I built my life and my business together to close 88 transactions in 2016 without going crazy and living a great life, okay? Module 12's commission because it's the cherry on top. There's certain things you have to get right in your life and your business if you really want to exceed your income levels, okay? And if you go out and you sell $10 million a year, but you charge 1% to do that on average, your income's not going to equal what your volume does. It's also going to hurt you mentally to know that, man, I'm not getting paid what I deserve. Well, there's things we have to work on. And I found that commission to me really doesn't mean anything. What it means is it's a mindset plus service in my world equals the commission I charge. Mindset and service. I'd write those two words down. That's what today is about. It's about your mindset and your service. Because when you get those two things right, the commission is whatever it is. Okay? It's about your mindset and your service. And so those are what I want to work on today. Today, we're actually going to do something we've never done because we've moved how these meetings are ran. They've gone from webinar to large meetings, I believe is what they're called, large meetings. Because of that, we can do something called breakout rooms now. And today I'm going to spend about 15 minutes talking about just some things that I worked on in my career about my mindset and service. And then what we're going to do, we're going to open up 2 breakout rooms. If you want to work with your peers on your mindset, there'll be 1 breakout room specifically for that. And if you want to work on your service, there'll be 1 breakout room specifically for that. And you can choose today how you want to interact. Okay? At the end, we'll come back. We'll be in those breakout rooms for about 20 minutes. We'll come back and then we'll share what we learned in those breakout rooms. So today I wanted it to be specific with what you're trying to move the needle in your business. It's mindset or service. It's pick one. So I'll tell you what I did in my career to help me be mentally strong, okay? And the first thing I did, which it's exactly the opposite of what I did before 25, and it's in before 25 and after 25, they're polar opposites, and that's called education. Okay, polar opposites. When I was before 25, I did everything not to be educated. I bought the Cliff Notes, I did the cheat sheets, whatever I could do not to have to read the book or go through the school. Okay? What I realize now is the more I'm educated, the better my mindset is. So imagine this. Imagine I took $1 million worth of master classes. Okay? And I'm using let me go back to my buddy Jason. There, Jason. Let's have some fun. I haven't seen Jason. I was just thinking about you, Jason. I'm like, damn, where's Jason? I haven't seen Jason in a while. So let's have some fun with Jason here. So this is what happens when you don't show up for a little bit. Then you're really showing up, right? Okay.
I'm ready.
Good to see you, brother.
You too, man.
So let's say Austin spent $1 million educating himself with anything in the world to make me a better person. Okay? Increase my mindset, my business, whatever. Jason, on the other hand, spends 0 in his education. Okay? And no offense. Jason's not that way, by the way. So let me ask you this. If I spend $1 million and Jason spends 0, who's worth more money if you're going to hire them? Just think, it's a very simple question, right? Very simple question. Who's worth more to the client? And do you understand that? You being here is increasing your value of your education. You're learning about things, which makes you more valuable. Then again, on the other hand, if Jason doesn't improve himself, which is ironic because I didn't see you here for a couple of weeks. That's funny how that works.
You've been waiting for this, I know.
See, this is what I was talking about, Amber. This is really love being shown here. Okay. If Jason doesn't educate himself and Jason goes to a listing appointment and charges an outrageous amount, let's say, how do you think he'll feel about himself? What will be his mindset? Jason, what would be your mindset if you don't work on educating yourself, but yet you still charge top rate, whatever that is? How would you feel?
Just kind of like an imposter, right? So you want to feel, the emotions that you get when you're providing a high level of service, and you feel fake.
Yeah. That was a perfect answer. I hope you guys heard Jason and really understand that. That if you aren't building yourself up, you might feel fake and like an imposter. Where I come in and I'm like, I dominate, right? You're lucky to have me. I am fully educated. You can hire the dumb person or you can hire me. That's your choice. I would tell you, you deserve a professional. Write that line down. That line made me $100,000 in my career. You deserve a professional. It's a good line to use. Thank you, Jason, for your time. So one of the things to increase my mindset over the years is I knew I needed to pour into my education, because the smarter I became, I believe I was worth more. Right? You don't see many people go get a doctorate and then charge less than the person with the associates, right? That's not how that world works. It's the same for this. The higher level of education you have, the more valuable you believe you are, correct? Right, guys? Wave your hands at me if you're in agreement here. Wave your hands. Let me see the screen shake here for a second. Boom. The higher level your education, the more value you believe you have. And I need that within you if you're truly going to rise to the levels in which you want to achieve and you want to become. So the first one's education. Second one is you got to know your numbers. What numbers are those? One is you got to understand the market. By understanding the market, my mindset increased. It said, I know more than you. Isn't that really good when I go to a buyer or seller, I deal with someone and I'm like, I know more than you. For me, that helps me with my mindset. It makes me feel confident in who I am and what I'm charging. So you got to know your numbers. You got to know them in and out. You got to know the numbers more than they know the numbers. You also got to know your numbers. What is the average cost for you to have a closing? Do you know that number? Like if I go back, it's only August right now. But if I were say the first 6 months, do you know your average cost per closing to run your business? Hell no, you don't. None of you guys know that. Maybe you do. If you do, put it in the chat. If you know your average cost per closing. Okay. And I will probably call on you, by the way, if you know. Oh, Glenn turned his camera off. Look at that. He said yes, and he's like, nope, I'm out. Oh, there he is. He's back. Do you know your average cost per closing? Let me see the chat here. Okay, we got a big negative right now. Okay, Glenn's 1,100. Okay, Glenn, you're that guy today, aren't you? Let's go,
Wow.
baby.
Okay.
So, okay, Glenn, so 1,100. So how many closings did you have in the first 6 months?
I believe I'm at 9.
Okay, so then you're telling me to run your business, if I take 9 times 1,100,
Mm-hmm.
your first 6 months to run your business, it was $9,900 is what your expenses were.
For my business, not any personal, but for my
Yep,
business.
just your business.
Yeah.
And that
Mhm.
includes your cell phone, your vehicle, all your education. That includes everything, your health insurance.
It's lower than it should be. I'll be honest. Yes.
Okay, hey, I'm not judging you. I just want to make
But
sure it's accurate.
yeah.
Because if it is, we're
Right.
gravy,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I want you to know. And here's why. I would say the average in this group, I would guess if I had to pick the average number, if we had them, would be about 2,000 right now. If I took everybody's expenses, divide those by their closings, you have a minimum operating expense. What Glenn says right now is if he goes to someone and someone says, hey, Glenn, I'm going to buy a house. I just want you to do the paperwork, Glenn, and I'll pay you $800. Glenn knows he's going to lose money if he touches this. And so we need to know our numbers, because when we know our numbers, we become confident in the decision. because we can make the decision before the decision actually needs to get made, right? Like I made the decision in my business not to lose money to work with somebody. And the reason why is because I run a for-profit business. I'm very clear on that. This is a for-profit business that I run. I do things that are non-for-profit. Not this. Not when I sell real estate. This is 100% a for-profit business. So when I know some of my numbers, well, I can then become more confident. My mindset changes. Say, Glenn, I would love, to do this for free, but I do that for this group, not this group. Okay, so we have to know our numbers. You need to know, when I go back to the house, you need to know your average days on market. You need to understand how many houses like this have closed. The best thing I ever did for a buyer who was crazy. Okay, here's a quick tip for you. Yes, I said the best thing I ever did for a buyer that was crazy, when they told me what they were looking for, and I'm like, it sounds like you're looking for a unicorn. Have you ever saw one of those? Because that's what you're looking for, and you want me to run you all over the kingdom to find a unicorn for you. Okay? Here's what I did. I said, well, let's just type in our MLS and look and see if we can find what you were looking for. Okay? Let's see if we can find it. You want this McMansion on 100 acres with the pond under 200,000. Okay, well, let's just see what comes up. Nothing. Well, let's look in the last 24 months. What comes up? Nothing. Nothing, 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 nothing. Because I knew the numbers, I could then explain to them to say, hey, if you want me to go find this unicorn, it's going to cost you $1 million. And they'd say, well, why is that? Because it's never going to happen. And if it does, I need to get paid. I can be confident with my mindset because I knew numbers. I knew my numbers and understood what they were looking for, the price points, the square footage, what something should sell for, the average days on the market, what their neighbor's house sold for. When I knew my numbers, my mindset increased. Huge, huge, huge. The last one, it's a secondary to education, but my mindset increased when I worked on myself. Not just my knowledge, but my body, how I thought about myself. All the things within the self. Now, you might say, what's that have to do with business? It has to do everything with business. You got to work on yourself. How positive are you in this world? Okay? How much do you talk about what you expect and how much do you complain? I always love when I complain a lot. And what I realize is when I complain, it's because I had an expectation. Right? When I complain, when any of you complain, the next time you complain, it's because you had an expectation that wasn't met. And when you work on yourself, literally, you work on yourself, your mindset increases. And I know how valuable I am because I know the asset within myself. Not just the education side, not just knowing the numbers, but who I am as a person. Remember, Amber, we said this is about life and business. You with me, Amber? We said this is about life and business. We're going to win twice. And that's what we do here. We win twice. And the better I worked on myself, the more confident I was, the better mindset I had, the more I felt I could charge the client and not be an imposter. And it's actually the opposite's true, which said, Jason, you'd be lucky to pay me this much money, right? You'd be lucky. How do we get that mindset? And I just gave you 3 quick things. You're going to go into a breakout room here in about 5 minutes, and you guys are going to pepper in more stuff that you've worked on with your mindset, okay? And we're going to share as a group here so we can all get a little bit better. Let me go to the service side. Chat's blowing up here. Let me go to the service side. Here's 3 things I worked on the service side. 1, clear communication. Sounds so easy, right? Sounds so easy, clear communication. Well, let me tell you, most of your communication is not clear. It's like muddier than muddy. It's dirty. And you got to clean that up. The best things I ever did for my clients is I told them when to expect a phone call from me. Think about your clients right now. Do they know when to expect a phone call from you? No. Most of them's no, because you haven't set that communication. Because my clients were clear when I was going to call them, okay, their level of service went up. Not just, hey, I'll call you when you need something or when I need something. No, I'm going to call you Tuesday at 3:30 every single week. That's when I'm going to call you, which means you don't need to call me on Monday, Sunday, or Saturday. Hint, hint, there's a life piece again there, Amber. You don't need to call me on the weekend because we're going to talk on Friday. And if there's something you need to say, you say it to me now. And then we're going to have this conversation. And because people understood not only when we were communicating, but what I was trying to communicate during that time, which means I had to be prepared for the meeting. Okay? When I called my seller, best thing I ever did with working with sellers is I told them I'd call you every Friday between 3 and 5 o'clock. Best thing I ever did. And you guys are working on your listing presentation, Shelly, David, I told every seller I'd call them on Friday between 3 and 5. And I said, if I don't call you by 5, fire me. Fire me, let me go. Or call the cops, something happened to me. One or the other. And I called them every Friday. They knew what to expect. And because of that, they paid me more. Yeah? Because of that, they paid me more. They knew when to hear from me. They knew it was crystal clear when I was going to communicate with you and what we were going to communicate about. Yeah? Very simple stuff, very service driven. Communication is the biggest problem in life, by the way. So address it with your house or with your spouse, in your house, and in your business. Communication is the biggest problem in life. If I ever get on any of your guys' butt, it's because you have crappy communication. I'm trying to help you do better. Okay? Next, service-wise, tell them about your team. Tell them you operate and you have a team. Now, some of you are going to say, well, Austin, I don't have a team. Bullshit, you don't have a team. I'm not talking about a team of real estate agents. I'm talking about you got somebody that can go mow their grass. You got somebody that can help with the plumbing. You have a team of people around you. What does your network look like? Can you show them and communicate that with them? How good is it? Because the better my team, the more valuable I am. Period. You might have other real estate agents. You know, this is part of my team here. You guys know that? When someone deals with me, I can say, you know what? I know some people out in the Denver area. You'd be lucky to work with them. Right? You'd be lucky. They're part of my team, my network. You'd be lucky to have them. They'll say, Austin, please let me know who they are. I get people texting me all the time. Do you know a plumber? Do you have a plumber? I'm like, you'd be lucky to work with my plumber. They do better work than most of the people and they charge less. And when they're done, you're happy. That's my team. You want to provide more service to your clients? Make sure you have a team that's vetted that you use. Personally, I never referred out someone I didn't use or I didn't know. Okay? I wasn't sending them on a wild goose chase. So it was my team. Make a list of them. Who are they? How do you communicate that to your clients? Your inspector, your bank, your appraisers, your whatever. These are your team. Identify them, communicate them, and charge for them. And remember what Jason said earlier, if they suck and you try to sell your team, you're going to feel like an imposter. And then the last one, before we head out of the breakout room here, it's experience driven. Everything that I did on the service end was experience driven. How do we make sure our clients have a good experience? Which everything underneath that falls. Negotiation, communication, contracts are done right. How do we make sure the clients have a good experience? And how do you communicate that with them? To say, my job is to make sure you have a good experience. It's not to make sure you buy or sell your home. It's to make sure you have a good experience. And because of that, your service will go up from me. I'm not focused on a commission check. I will earn that if everything goes the way you want it to go. But this is about service from me to you. And oh, by the way, I charge a shit ton for that too. I'm very good at it. And you know how I know that? Because Shelly referred you to me. And you know how Shelly is. If she didn't like what I was doing, she would tell you I was the worst person in the run. But what did she say? She said I was the best. And so I need you to just trust me that I can bring you the same service that I brought her. And so on the mindset side, we talked about education, about truly knowing the numbers and working on yourself. And on the service side, I talked about clear communication, having a list of your team, and then having your clients be experience driven.